I heard rates on bank screens are changing and fluctuating. I am hoping this means they are priming the system again. My banking contacts say they are seeing many different rates are rolling all over the place, hopefully they are checking the system and priming the system. Private Banks Association, the number of electronic payment points in Iraq increased from 7,000 to 30,000. Electronic payments, you can get this feeling it's showtime because they're really doing the development of the reality of financial inclusion. They're spreading that financial culture around the country, it's coming, the growth stage. Alak is on TV, and he's singing like a bird with information. He's talking to us an awful lot every day about what they're going to do with this reform. He gives speech about how much money is in the digital system already. It's growing. He said at the end of this year we will implement the initial plan to complete the reforms for the banking system. Frank, the digital information is one of the main key parts of the monetary reform. It will allow your money to float freely not only inside of your country but outside. You are going to be internationally recognized. This is extremely exciting. A parliamentary delegation to visit the Kurdistan region next week on the salaries of employees. This article came out before the weekend. So it's this week. This is one of the hiccups that is keeping HCL from passing. So they are in the Kurdish region supposedly working on this, what is supposedly one of the last hiccups with passing publicly the HCL. Maybe. Finally. If we get the HCL we should get a new value on the dinar. Economic renaissance, and unprecedented progress. Iraq maximizes its non-oil revenues and reduces its debts. They are telling us the national debt is only 9% of their reserves now at $108 billion and GDP growth is very good. Words like unprecedented and maximizes tells me our choo-choo train is moving down the tracks at an accelerated pace now. Economist, the development road will pass through 12 Iraqi governorates and will transfer Iraq to the world. When you drag out the education as long as the GOI and CBI has been doing, nothing sticks. If it is not in practice, then it is just words from the mouths of bureaucrats. Iraq has had more than enough of that, and they do not pay attention. They will become educated when it means something to them, like the cost of goods and services, and buying power, and velocity of money. This is all obfuscation, and I don't believe a word of it. Logic tells me they are stalling the people. The $64,000 question is why? What's the real plan? The DRP, Development Road Project, is expected to increase Iraq's GDP and gross domestic product, which could quickly increase the currency's, dinar's, value. Whether Iraq increases the value of its currency or not, once it becomes an international transportation hub, investors will have the opportunity to invest the dinar they have in one form or another. Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani announced today, Tuesday, that the mission of the so-called international coalition forces in Iraq will soon end. Al-Sudani said in an interview with the American Bloomberg channel and agency that the justifications for the presence of the international coalition in Iraq have ended and Iraq 2024 is not Iraq 2014. He added that the terrorist organization ISIS no longer poses a threat to the Iraqi state, noting that Iraq has moved from a phase of wars to a phase of stability. He continued, "We have started a frank dialogue with the international coalition and formed a bilateral committee to arrange the withdrawal of coalition forces." On the other hand, the Prime Minister stressed Iraq's commitment to OPEC decisions in a way that maintains oil prices and the equation between the interests of producers and consumers. Al-Sudani said, "We have two options regarding exporting oil through the port of Jehan, either amending the contracts, which was rejected by the companies contracting with the region, or amending the budget law, and this matter requires political consensus." The head of the Special Committee for Investigating Port Violations, MP Yasser al-Husseini, considered the corruption and thefts taking place in Iraqi ports as a continuation of the theft of the century. Al-Husseini said in a statement to Al-Maluma agency, "The corruption of the ports is much greater than the stolen money that was announced and is considered a continuation of the theft of the century," noting that the corruption of the current management of the ports has caused great losses to the country. He added, "The ports cannot bring any financial return to Iraq during the next few years because of the control of shadow companies over them," adding, "No one can enter the ports company, even the judiciary, the public prosecution, and the integrity." He pointed out that there are political and partisan pressures being exerted on the parliament presidency to prevent the investigation committee into port corruption from going to Basra.